What is going on, Bucs fans and CFP fans? Evan and Wanish here, back at you again. Another video talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And today, yet again, I am not alone. I am joined by Mr. Bucs Nation, a.k.a. James Hill. You know him. Some love him. But James, how you doing tonight?
Good, man. Ready to dive into the running backs now. We did quarterbacks. Now next is running backs here on our list. So should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and as of course, just a little bit of a reminder, this is the positional group reviews. Sorry, I did the previews on James's channel. So like I said, kind of a full circle moment here to have James on with us here to review the running back room. And honestly, it was a room that the Bucs put a lot of faith in a guy like Rachaad White, right? They didn't invest in a high draft pick and a running back. They did not go out and sign a big free agent running back. They released Leonard Fournette, and they basically said, like, the backfield is Rachaad White's. It was compiled of Rachaad White, Chase Edmonds, undrafted free agent, and Sean Tucker, and then a guy in Keyshawn Vaughn who was, was a disappointment in his NFL career. And Keyshawn Vaughn actually did not even end the season with the Buccaneers. He was waived by the Buccaneers, and I believe signed with the Patriots practice squad. So not sure if he's still there or not, but that's where Keyshawn Vaughn has ended up. But again, they put a lot of faith in Rachaad White and also in Dave Canales' system to be able to improve this run game, which was just dreadful in 2022. I mean, one of the worst. I think it actually was the worst in NFL history, like statistically. So Rachaad White definitely had a nice season after a slow start. I will admit there was some concerns about Rachaad White after the first, I would say, 6, 7, 8 weeks. And the Buccaneers just could not run the football. But the second half of the season, particularly when the Buccaneers offense found success, I think a lot of that was because Rachaad White not only was going as a running back, but he was also a receiving option. What did you think overall of Rachaad White's season?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that overall Rachaad White, 272 carries, 990 yards, 6 rushing touchdowns. That was good for
So
three.
close to 1,000. So close.
I would, he's close enough. I mean, 3.6 yards per attempt. What people ignore is him as a receiver. 70 targets. That was good for third on the team this year. 64 receptions. That was good for third on the team this year. 549 receiving yards, Evan. That was good for third on the team this year. And 3 receiving touchdowns. That was good for third on the team this year. So, I mean, really, Rachaad White, what made him such a big thing for the Bucs this year was, yes, his running ability, but also his receiving ability as well, that I'm not going to say is slept on by Bucs fans, but he finished the year with the most scrimmage yards for any Buck, eclipsing Mike Evans by almost 300 yards.
Saying something.
That's saying something, right? Because Mike Evans is always the leader of these types of things. So, you had Rachaad White doing some really, really good stuff. There really wasn't much to complain about. I mean, besides early on in the season, right? But to your point, when they were 4-7, they started going on that win streak. Rachaad White was a pretty big reason as to why that was the case. So he overall had a really good year, I think.
Yeah, and like I said, a lot of it had to do with Rachaad White, and he was getting the bulk of the carries, right? He was getting the bulk of those receptions. You said how many carries he had, how many targets he had, how many receptions. Chase Edmonds got injured week 2 and missed a few weeks. So it was basically Rachaad White's backfield. The Buccaneers, look, Sean Tucker had a nice training camp. There was a lot of hype for Sean Tucker. He had a decent preseason. But then once the regular season came, he was given a few chances, and it just didn't happen. And so that put, I think, even more pressure on Rachaad White, because basically at one point he was like the Buccaneers' only option at the running back position, right? Because there was just no other productive options. Chase Edmonds ended up coming back in. But, I do think that there's a lot of pressure on Rachaad White, and he delivered.
So, man, they tried to. After Edmonds went out with injury, they tried to use Vaughn and Tucker. It did not work. I mean, Keyshawn Vaughn, Evan, 24 carries, 42 yards, 1.8 yards. You're like, yes, I knew this was coming.
Awesome.
1.8 yards per attempt. Sean Tucker was worse. 15 carries for 23 yards for 1.5 yards per attempt. It's like, golly, man. I mean, at least Chase Edmonds, when he came back from injury, I was very impressed with Edmonds and what he was able to do. I mean, 49 carries, 176 yards, 3.6 yards per attempt, same as Rachaad White. He also had, if I can find his stats, he had 17 targets, 14 catches for 81 yards. Chase Edmonds, in my opinion, is one of those guys that I would bring back. I think that he's still at worst, he's your number 3, right?
Okay.
At worst, he's your number 3. If he stays healthy, he can be a good number. He can be a fine number 2 if you really want to, continue to have Rachaad White be that dude. So no, yeah, where Rachaad White and Chase Edmonds, where Rachaad White shined, Chase Edmonds was okay. Keyshawn Vaughn and Sean Tucker, not very good.
No, in the famous words of LA Knight,
Yeah.
But basically, yeah, let's talk about the future a little bit here to wrap this one up. And I think this one is interesting because I want to know how much the new offensive coordinator hire, which at the recording of this video, right, as this video is being recorded, we do not know who that is.
We do know. We're just not going to tell you.
Yeah, like we know, but
you don't know.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it a surprise, okay?
Right.
We're gonna let you all find out, and then once it's hired, we can be like, "Aha! See, yep,
yeah, we told
that's
you
who it was." Yeah. So I think that's interesting in this, right? Because Dave Canales came to Tampa with one of the goals in mind being improve this run game, right? Improve this horrid run game, and honestly, they weren't perfect and they weren't going to be perfect. Okay. I think Canales had gone on record in press conferences and even bowls. And a lot of people were like, look, this run game is so bad that it's not going to be fixed overnight. And it wasn't. And even when they were really going at times during the season, it still wasn't perfect. And I'm curious to see how the new offensive coordinator, whoever that may be, coming into the situation, how that changes things for a guy like Rachaad White. You mentioned in the last video about the QBs, John Wolford potentially not being back. Does this mean that the offensive coordinator might prefer a different running back over Chase Edmonds? Does this maybe put Edmonds at risk possibly? Alex Van Pelt is a guy who the Buccaneers have interviewed for the offensive coordinator position. Kareem Hunt is a free agent this offseason. So, I mean, that could be a natural fit there with, the Cleveland connection. That's just something we're throwing out, right? But I do think this one is interesting because I think the offensive coordinator, obviously it matters for Baker Mayfield, but I also think it matters for a guy like Rachaad White and the rest of that running back room because I think it could be, realistically, Keyshawn Vaughn's already not on the team. It could be Rachaad White and 3 new running backs behind him. Like, I really do think that's a real possibility.
I mean, one thing I think about too is the next OC going to view Rachaad White as the guy moving forward?
That's a big one, yeah.
Maybe Todd Bowles would probably have some say in that and go, "Hey, man, like, no, he's pretty good." But it is an interesting question that's worth asking, right? Is Rachaad White going to be the number 1 guy moving forward, or is there going to be more of a healthy split between White and another running back that may be brought in? That's a legitimate question, man. New OCs can really change those things up and really affect those types of things. So let's just, that's one of those things we're gonna have to stay tuned. Good point on Edmonds. Sean Tucker is gonna be back, but
maybe. I mean, he
for camp,
training camp, yeah,
for training camp and whatnot. But you're gonna need some depth. I mean, that's still a question mark. Even after Rachaad White, Chase Edmonds is an unrestricted free agent. You still have some legitimate questions at depth, and that's probably going to be one of the things that OC is going to want is hopefully a good stable of running backs.
And we know Todd Bowles is going to prioritize that, right? And picking the next offensive coordinator because we know he wants to run the ball more, right? And Dave Canales was able to do that, but now Dave Canales is no longer here, so Bowles has to find somebody else who, wants to run the football more. So we will see where that leads them. But let us know what you thought about Rachaad White's season. Let us know what you thought about Chase Edmonds' season. Would you like to see a guy like Chase Edmonds back in the fold in 2024? Let us know what you thought about the entire running back room. Do you think Rachaad White's the guy for the future? I know there's some who do, there's some who don't, right? There's some who wish they would go out and get maybe a more dynamic runner.
Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I mean, there it is. There it is. You heard it here first. Mr. Bucs Nation is reporting that the Buccaneers have significant interest and will be getting Saquon Barkley. So
they're getting them. It's not significant interest. It's a done deal.
Clip that. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And go Bucs.